Tammy Crandall with Journey Venture Travel and Tours and Link Real Estate, and I'm joined by my co-host.
I'm Rebecca Denise with Superior Storage as well as Link Real Estate.
And we are here to help serve you so you can fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. And what that means for each and every one of us can be so different. I think we mentioned that on every show. There's always going to be something that we add.
Yeah.
I've gone out on the Tiki Taxi down in Stewart and enjoyed the lagoon or the Indian River down there.
Write a book.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be that you're going to see manatees for the first time.
Or find that little second home somewhere in Tennessee.
Absolutely. And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today really is going to be focused on real estate in general and just really what is currently going on in our country, just some little pockets of things. And then of course I'll talk about a listing that I have here right here in the heart of Port St. Lucie at PGA Verano, so we'll mention that a bit, that way you can get an idea of what we have available for you here.
It makes sense. I mean, people are still moving all over. If it's veterans coming to Florida or people in Florida are moving up more north, so we're still seeing a lot of movement, a lot of calls.
Of course.
And, people are going in and out. But this listing will, kind of be a nice highlight for what's down here.
Yeah, and we'll get into that. But a lot of what drives people to make a purchase on a home has a lot to do with what's going on in our rate environment today. So let's talk a little bit about that.
So, rates have kind of, since, the pre-pandemic and even afterwards, they have gone up. So we're teetering for a 30-year fix, right at that 6.5% mark. If you were looking for like an FHA loan or a VA loan, maybe you're at 6 1/8. So the one thing about mortgage rates is obviously it's going to determine your payment, but there's a lot of ways to buy down that rate.
Of course.
It really depends on everybody's individual story. In most cases, you're never going to keep that loan for 30 years. If you're buying new construction, we do see a lot of credits that are happening out there that may give you the ability to buy down that rate. An example, like if you're a relocation, they will give you grant money to buy down the rate. And from a realtor perspective, everything could be negotiated for a seller credit.
Right.
Then, if you look at some of the larger banks and even the smaller community banks, right now Chase is giving away a grant, so that means you don't pay it back based on parameters between $2,000 and $5,000.
Right.
So if you have the ability to maybe buy down that rate and now you're at 5.5%, then you're going to see, well, that's going to save me, a couple $100 a month, and then it becomes a number game. And I'm obviously being generic, but when you meet with the realtor and you pick the right realtor, they're going to give you those partners on demand, the lender. And that's how we're going to determine, what bucket is best for you. Maybe you're only going to stay in the property for 3 years because it is a relocation. Maybe you're a veteran and you're going to be, put up at West Point and maybe you're there for 5 years. Or you're retiring, you're downsizing. And even in today's environment, we're seeing a lot of generational housing.
Right.
Either you're building that, tiny home for mom on that property, or you're looking to buy that cabin in the woods in Tennessee. But I wouldn't have rates be a deterrent because you're not going to stay there 30 years. And if you look back, back in 1985, maybe they were a little bit lower, but before that they were 17-18%.
Well, and if you're smart about it too, some people sometimes make the mistake of chasing the rate.
Yeah.
And then you miss out on an opportunity. Yeah. A lot of that has been happening in our market today, where people are like, well, I'm waiting for the rate to go down by, a tenth or by a quarter or whatever. Well, now you may miss the very opportunity for that home that you love so much to be gone.
Right. And a creative banker and a realtor, they will play with those numbers. There's a misnomer that, if the Fed lowers their rates, well, that half a point is going to, change with the 30-year fix. It doesn't equate like that.
No.
So we're really still in a sensitive market. I mean, the stock market, you're making money up and down, but it is still very strong. People are making money in the stock market. Values are still kind of consistent. We're not really seeing decline in values. There is foreclosures, but it's not huge. So I think, you don't want to miss your opportunity, and you don't want to wait for something that may not come. And because I think we're in a sensitive environment, I wouldn't wait. And it depends on need too. So if you're selling a property, you know, it's still a good time to sell. If you're buying up or buying down or relocation, you really just got to start with those talking points.
Right.
And, you know, then you'll go to the next step. You know, the pre-approval will tell you the story on what you could afford and what you're comfortable with. Because you could get a pre-approval for $500,000, but if you're comfortable at $300,000, that's important.
Well, and that's exactly it. Just because you're approved for a certain amount doesn't mean that's going to be what you want. And on the flip side of that, it's superbly important that you know what you are approved for if you are going to need lending to help support your purchase. You got to know that in advance. So you know what your target is going to be.
Correct.
For the homes that you're looking for. Are you looking in the right areas? Is it realistic for you? You know, the one thing that I can attest for Rebecca and myself as real estate agents is that we're going to be blatantly honest and truthful with you. You know, we're not going to sugarcoat anything and tell you, oh, you could get into this or that, when that isn't necessarily the case. You know, we want to make sure that, you know, you don't end up buried. At the same time, based on the conversations that we're having with you when we have that seat with you. That's where the expertise that we provide, you know, we both spent 30 years in banking, working with our clients on the other side of the table.
And it's important because there's so many products, and there's also a lot of misconceptions. You know, FHA is a great loan. There's many reasons people will put down 3.5% because it's viable and it makes sense. VA loan, 100% financing. You know, we need to do that for our veterans. But when you sit with Tammy and I, you know, you need a baseline, so that's your pre-approval. That's where we're going to start helping you. So we could set expectations and understand your needs and also your timing. You know, if it's a buy and sell, but you know, you could also look to be buying an investment property or a stay vacation. So there's just a lot, but I think what we do is that we take away the part that it's so overwhelming. Like, where do I start? Where do you start? You would call a realtor, and then we're going to guide you. And maybe you're not going to buy today. Maybe you'll buy 6 months down the road, but we can map it out.
And you know, it's helpful for our clients to understand what the market is kind of doing right now. It's not unusual for homes that are priced in the right place to take anywhere between 4 to 6 months to sell. You know, for those homes that aren't priced properly. You know, some of those homes are taking a year to sell, and that works fine for the seller if they're willing to wait that long. But in reality, most people, when they put a home up for sale, they're not, you know, they're thinking of 2 years ago. They're not, you know, when things were flying off the market in 3 weeks or a month or less. And that is not happening.
You're not seeing you know, the multiple offers. I mean, maybe in certain sections, but I think overall, you know, it is a healthy mix of what's out there. In July, they had 174,000 active listings. So again, that's higher than pre-pandemic. So it does show you that things are still shifting. So, you know, the idea is that we're going to find what you need. And if it is on the selling side, we're going to market it right so it sells. And the marketing may be, you know, something in Florida still may be marketed in New York or Connecticut. So that's, you know, the information that we have. You know, if you look at the homeowners insurance, you know, Florida is a high-risk state. The hurricanes, knock on wood, we missed the last one. But, you know, you have to look at all the factors. What is my taxes? What will the homeowner's insurance be? You know, is there any other fee with the builder? That's where we could pull it together.
Absolutely.
Especially key on the homeowner's insurance. You know, we have all the national carriers, but Florida does have a couple specific carriers like Tower Hill or Citizens, and that's so everybody could get what they need.
Well, and then some of the other things that are affecting, I mean, obviously here in Florida, we're surrounded on, you know, 3 sides by water. It's a popular reason as to why people choose to move here. So you may be considering a condo. that might be on the water. Well, there are regulations that are changing.
Correct.
That are affecting the price points or the insurance requirements for these condo areas. So those are things that we can, run through and walk you through, so you have a clear understanding of what's expected of you at the closing table.
Right.
What you're going to have to deal with, and the information we're going to have to help you provide to your insurance carrier when they're doing the quotes for you. All of those things are going to play a part in what you're going to have an obligation to pay out at the front end of purchasing a condo.
And especially with the condo, I mean, we want to make sure that we're protecting your value moving forward. And, part of the change is making sure that the condos have the reserve requirements, but they're also healthy, and the health and safety factors is key.
Right.
Especially for something that may have been built 50 years ago. The ocean, the elements here are very, very different.
That's true.
But overall, that's what we want to make sure you get the proper condo docs and you know what you have, especially if there is an assessment. But Florida's just paradise.
Yes, it is.
It is. So, whatever you buy.
I'm partial. I'm a little partial. I'm a Florida native, so I'm a bit partial to that. So it's been paradise my whole life here for me.
And I think, as homeowners, when you're going in and you're trying to buy and sell, I mean, you have to have the right team, because it's so stressful.
It is.
And I think when someone could streamline the communication and pull the partners together, if it's, the realtor, then we have the banker, you have the title company, our role is to guide that.
Right.
And when you love it and you understand the number side and the legality side of the real estate, it just makes it fun.
Well, even, something as simple as making a decision. Do you buy something that is considered a resale property?
Yes.
Or are you better off buying something that, if you've got the time, are you better off buying something that is brand new and going to be built for you? What you have to spend and what you need to put out of pocket, all of those things play a part in that for you.
Yeah, and then it's important, first-time home buyers are not, FHA is 3.5% down. So that, the idea that I can't buy a home, or where do I start? So if you're gonna buy some, current inventory, it could be an FHA loan at 3.5%, but it could be a brand new build too. And then even on some of the older inventory, and Port St. Lucie are all over the nation, there is pockets of good deals that you can find. So,
absolutely.
And then if you find something, there's a lot of renovation loans. People could do that too.
Well, the adage, there's a home for every budget.
Right.
So it's a matter of understanding upfront what your budget looks like. So you've got to have a very clear view of that from the onset. Now, we're going to talk a little bit more about, things that are accessible to people when they are purchasing, if they're going to need some assistance, that sort of thing. But we're going to take a 2-minute break and we'll be right back.
Journaventure Travel and Tours, where it's about your journey, not just the destination. Picture a world full of amazing places yet to be discovered. Where do you begin? Whether your bucket list includes cruising in the Caribbean, exploring vast nature in Alaska, or experiencing exotic worldwide places, we're here to help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. Your journey begins from the moment you let go and let us handle the details for you. So call us today. Journaventure Travel and Tours, 772-882-3165.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Rebecca Denise from Superior Storage, as well as Link Real Estate, and I'm with my co-host Tammy.
Hello.
Also with Link Real Estate. So we're going to talk right now about one of our listings. It's in PGA, Port St. Lucie, and I'm going to let her give you the details. So we just kind of highlight something, and then maybe we'll share a couple more later.
We have a wonderful villa property that's available at PGA Verano. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath with a den/flex room, 1,809 square feet.
That's a nice
so
size.
It's a pretty good size.
That's a good size.
Yes, $60,000 worth of upgrades in this property. And the great part, some of these neighborhoods are so large, right? And then you drive into them and you feel like you're driving forever to get to your house, right? Well, the great part is you go through the entryway, you're not having to drive too far, and then where your home sits, It's on a small cul-de-sac, butts up to a dog park, which is cool. So this is a perfect home for someone who is either transitioning from a larger home to a smaller home, and or is looking to buy into their first home.
Right.
They have, maybe have one child and they have animals, dogs that they would like to walk.
Perfect community.
You're not having to go so far. They've got a wonderful clubhouse there full of amenities, an indoor swimming pool, an outdoor swimming pool, 27 pickleball courts. So
it's like a vacation at home every day.
It is, and we talk about
where we talk about
the
paradise.
homecation.
Yeah,
I refer to that as a homecation.
It's just paradise living, and it's amazing when you come home and you see the water and you're in a resort style. It's an extension of everything.
Yeah,
and it makes it all better.
Well, and I know everybody, they take a vacation to get away from the work environment they're in and those types of things. But it's also nice to be able to come back home and then be in a place where, you've got sidewalks, underground wiring, full amenities available to you. Those things are great. This is just, one sample of kind of like a social aspect in the clubhouse that they have there.
It becomes a way of living because it's a resort style.
It does.
You have your community within a community. It's your village.
Yes.
Look at that pool.
And what a view.
I know.
I mean, what a view. You could sit there for hours
I
just
want to go
enjoying
there.
that. The great thing is, this particular villa, this is the view outside the front door of your villa.
And that's beautiful.
So you're not looking at somebody else's home.
Yeah.
You've got that beautiful view available to you. This is the frontage, so nice sized driveways, wide sidewalks for walking. This particular villa as well has a beautiful glass door frontage.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All the windows in this villa are hurricane impact.
Perfect.
Windows, which I think is important here in South Florida.
Absolutely.
Soffits underneath the roof have been upgraded to ceramic, so you don't have to worry about not ceramic but stone, so you don't have to worry about woodpeckers and varmints and things getting into your attic.
I always love the neighbor's house to get a woodpecker because it's stick built.
And this is just a high overview over the top of where the property sits, so you can see how big that lake frontage is for you, and then also where it's in close proximity to Crosstown Parkway, so you have easy access in and out of the Tradition area where you have shopping at the landings. You actually right out the front of PGA Verano, because I just don't have that view. You have Publix right around the corner from you.
You have everything you need.
Yeah, everything you need for shopping.
It's a perfect little hub for someone maybe up north that doesn't know the area, but PGA obviously top of the line resort area. So you're in a secure community, but right outside that, the Met Stadium is 4 miles away.
Yeah, so it's in close proximity to get access to places, but at the same time, you have that water view behind you, water view in front of you. So, which is a tremendous amount of privacy, which is phenomenal. Here, taking a look inside the home, you see you've got diagonal tile floors. The kitchen is fully upgraded with that backsplash all the way up to the ceiling. Appliances within. The only appliance that is not brand new is the microwave, but every other appliance in there has never been used. We're talking dishwasher, glass top range.
And that's where that $60,000 of the improvements came from.
Yeah, that's part of it.
That's great.
You'll notice too, I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. Around the top of the ceiling, you've got crown molding throughout the whole home.
Right.
So that in and of itself is considered an upgrade. Fans in every room considered an upgrade.
Nice.
These cabinets were not the original cabinets in the home. These were all upgraded. We've got the quartz countertops with the waterfall edge. Those are considered upgrades in the home, as well as the hanging pendant lights that you see here. This is a picture of the master bathroom.
Perfect. That could be your bathroom.
Yes, his and her sinks. Exactly. You got a nice Roman soaking tub as well as a separate glass front shower. And then this is just a view of what that home would look like if you had furniture. Right. And this is an actual. This is not AI. This is literally what furniture was in the home when they had it furnished.
And it's
so
still
a true
open and
outline.
airy.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a nice open
Perfect.
concept. And again, you can still see that crown molding across the top there behind you. And then, of course, the patio was screened in by the
Nice.
owners who had
Yeah,
it.
it's nice
That
having
was not something that automatically came with the home. They had to have that
Yeah.
done. So being able to look out over the whole back area
Yeah, it's
there.
beautiful.
So nice, big, private, natural space. And then, of course, the flex room we talked about, they actually utilized as an office in that space, so it was pretty sizable. Great thing about the office space, they've got doors that you can close on it, but what they did, in order to allow for space within this, they didn't have the doors open into the room. They actually made it so the doors open out of the
Nice.
room, so that way you could utilize the full space within that.
Right.
And
And then
that
if you
flex
needed it to
space.
be a bedroom because the kids come down,
Absolutely.
then you have that, that idea of a flex room.
Yeah, and that's the
Or
great thing about a flex room.
homeschool
You
room.
can make it a library. You can make it your home office. It could be your
Put a pool table in there.
Yes, you could.
Right.
A cigar bar.
Yeah, that's
it. However
So
you
many,
prefer.
1,800 square feet is such a
It's
great
a
size,
good
and to have
size.
that bonus room.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, of course, if you're interested in looking at additional pictures or interested in taking a look at the property
Yep.
in person, by all means, you can reach out to me directly, Tammy Crandall with Link Real Estate. My direct number, if you have questions, is 772-579-9536. And of course, this property is located in PGA Village, Verano at 10007 Southwest Ambrose Way in St. Lucie West, 34986.
Perfect. So tying into that, we could talk a little bit about homes that maybe are not move-in ready. So I just pulled a couple of things just for scenarios. So if you were buying a property and it needed an air conditioning system or it needed something, with the FHA loan you can do a renovation.
That is
the
correct.
minimum amount was $5,000 and then it goes up to like $35,000 on a stream loan. But the idea is if you find something in your location and you like the yard but the house needs work, don't get discouraged, we could help you. And I just wanted to just put a little couple properties out there. So in Kissimmee, Florida, so I found a property that's 4.3, 2,800 square feet at the price of $470. The taxes are $558 a month and the HOA is $121. And all that's important because we want to show you different levels. And that could be for a first-time home buyer or not. West Palm Beach, if you're looking for maybe a starter home and it's a condo. So it's 1 bedroom, 1.5 bath, 500 and change square feet, that's $150. The HOA is $478. So that's where you kind of have to balance
That's
out.
true.
Because the HOA, when you add that fee, it takes away your borrowing power on the
Absolutely,
mortgage
it
because you
does,
have
yeah.
to qualify. But the idea that you could find a home for $150 in West Palm Beach, that's a great
Well,
starter.
and a lot of these HOA fees, some of the things that they include
Yes.
are not just the amenities on property, but a lot of times they'll include things like your lawn care,
Yeah.
tree trimming. It'll include the roof that's on your building. It's gonna, so you're not hit with a huge assessment. It's gonna include things like cable.
Yes, and Wi-Fi. So when you look, people say, "Oh, I don't want to pay an HOA fee." Well, you might be living in a resort style. You have the security, but the idea cable alone could be a couple $100. The
That's
trash, is going up in certain areas. So it's just it's looking at the numbers again and having someone help you understand it.
Absolutely.
Then I found one in Connecticut. So I'm from Connecticut. So I found a property in Torrington. So it's like by the Girl Scout camps from years ago. $29,000 is a single family property, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, 945,000 square feet. The taxes are $162 a month. No HOA because it's a single family property for $29,000.
And that's 945 square feet.
Correct.
Okay, 3
And-
bedroom, 1 bath.
Yeah, and the
Wow.
idea is to, if you're looking for that summer home and you want to be up in Litchfield County the deals are out there. You just need to have someone who knows how to find it. And some of these deals are off market or they're online. But what a great idea, $29,000 and
Yeah.
maybe it becomes a family cabin forever. The other one that I want to look at is so cute. This is in Trade, Tennessee.
Okay.
Everybody talks about Tennessee recently. So it's $47,000. It's a 2-1, 1,100 square feet. So it's pretty big. the taxes there are $24 a month. Now, this may be the only house in town. There may be nobody else, I don't know, for $24 a month under taxes. So, you know, you may have to go there and be mayor too. But, you know, we're just
There's
trying,
a novel thought.
right? We're just trying to show you that, you know, obviously real estate is so important. It's our land. We want to own a piece of it. But the idea is that there's things out there that we could help you with. And, you know, maybe you do want to buy that cabin in Tennessee and you rebuild it. But there is loan programs for it. So if it had to do renovation or it needed systems, you know, maybe that 47 becomes that you borrow 70,000, but now your house is updated. So, you know, we were just being a little quirky and trying to find out what's out there. But, you know, the renovation loan is important for all these. And just on the other side, so we are seeing a little bit of real estate owned, which is foreclosures, and that could be for 100 reasons. You know, we're still sensitive in certain areas with jobs and, you know.
And there are some opportunities out there for people to rent to own. There are opportunities out there. People are getting creative on the seller side where they're saying, well, I might be willing to hold the mortgage.
Correct.
You know, so this could be the home they're selling might be a secondary home to them.
Correct.
You know, so if they're not able to sell it straight off, they might be willing. You could just be in a dynamic where maybe you're self-employed and you have trouble substantiating what would fall in that normal track under a bank loan.
Right.
There are also some programs out there for, you know, you find that you are saving your money to purchase a home, but you find that everything keeps coming up and those savings are depleted. That's a real challenge. So
life happens.
Yeah, so there are programs out there. Hometown Heroes just opened back up again, and they've actually opened it up not just to the people who are in that service, but, you know, say you're with a home health agency, for example.
Yep.
Yeah, and it used to be like kind of on the management level. Well, now it's employees now. So it's actually employees as well. And those funds, quite honestly, they go very fast.
Right.
So when they say that they've opened it up, if you're even thinking about buying and you want something that's going to help you with down payment assistance, these are not necessarily free money. But what it does provide you with is a 0% loan program to help you with the down payment. And then when you go to sell the home, then that's paid back.
Right.
But it's a great way to be able to get in a home, and with rents as high as they have been,
Yeah, I mean, you know,
for some, it might be a smarter avenue to take.
Yeah, it's a numbers game because, you know, if you're paying $2,300 to rent, you know, maybe a 2 or, you know, maybe 3, I mean, you could afford to buy. But the idea is, you know, especially if you're an investor, those couple properties I just talked about, great investment properties, you're going to maybe fix them up, but you're going to be able to turn around and resell or rent them.
Right.
And the idea is that we don't want people to get, you know, think that they can't do it. If you, first-time home buyer, your credit score is 580 and you qualify with credit capacity and the collateral of the home, you know, we could get you into something. And then when it comes like with the Hometown Heroes and when the application process comes out, you know, that's where we could say, let's map it out now. So next January or whenever that fund's out, then you're going to be ready. Here locally, there is a lot of grant programs too. And I know Connecticut and all those other states, they have it too. If you need a grant program because you do need the hurricane windows. And things of that nature. And the more that we could get that way, you know, that helps the impact of our insurance.
Right.
Then you're not putting the shutters and the things. And the other thing that's new, kind of an outlier, but I was reading an article about metal roofs, how much that's also becoming the norm. Because then, at least for Florida, you don't have all the elements with the rust. And it protects you. It's not a black roof, you know. So all those things make a difference. So we're continually seeing new things with the builders, but that will also protect our homes here.
Of course.
And that makes a difference. And then let's see what else we could do. I know Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, those are the quasi-government agencies like FHA. They also have programs. So, you know, it gets very convoluted because you have the local banks,
Absolutely.
then we have the state that has first time home, and then we have the national. But I know I keep on saying it, but it really just, that determines what's going to happen is who you work with.
And that's
and it's
true.
about making a relationship and being able to say, I don't know where to begin, or I had a bankruptcy 4 years ago, or I got divorced. That's okay.
Well, and
Life happens.
Well, we help lay the groundwork,
Right.
And you know, because it's not uncommon for us to have somebody on file for a year
Yes.
or longer sometimes, and it's because we're dealing, you know, sometimes we're dealing with credit issues, or we're dealing with funds that need to be available for down payment or for closing costs. You know, but you don't know what that is. So if you have a plan in place and your intent is to purchase a home at some point in the future, it would be worth your while to
Yes.
sit down and have a conversation with us. You know, let's sit down and map out a plan. You know, it could be that you have an opportunity in the next 6 months. It could be that you are not going to be ready for the next 2 years.
Perfect, yeah.
You know, but we're not going to know that if you don't take the time to kind of map
Right,
it out.
and we want to work with you because, you know, listen, everyone wants their own home, their own little piece of land. And if it's not in Florida and you need help in Tennessee, you know, we have the referral partners to have that happen. If you're a veteran, we definitely have National Veterans Alliance available too. But I don't think, you know, we think outside the box. That was the whole idea of the Bucket List show, is we don't believe in the boxes. We don't believe that we're limited in what we want to do.
Yes.
And, you know, to build anything, we need to start with the foundation. So that would be our conversation and sharing that information. Whether you need to fix your credit, we could assist with that. If you don't have a bank account, we're going to guide you with that. Maybe you need a cosigner. FHA allows non-owner occupied cosign. So mom and dad, the favorite aunt, your brother, they can help you get into that house.
Yeah, I mean, and we're seeing where there are a lot of families that are living multi-families
Yes.
at home. I could almost, you know, count on one hand or two hands at least the number of people who would be willing to gift closing cost money or deposit money to get them into their own place, you know.
Fly.
Exactly, you know, fly away so they can get their privacy. So we'll go with that.
Yeah.
And we really are passionate about these things and passionate about helping people.
Yes.
You know, as I said earlier, there is a home somewhere for everybody. We're fortunate to live in an amazing country that provides us with so many different options. We would love for you to be a part of our community here on the Treasure Coast. So we're gonna, you know, wrap this show up today. If you have questions, you know, about us here on the Bucket List Show, if you'd like us to cover a topic that's a little different, by all means. If you're interested in taking a look at that property, that villa at PGA Verano, I would love to show it to you. That's right. You can just reach out to me. I'm Tammy Crandall. My number is 772-579-9536. Again, I'm Tammy Crandall with Link Real Estate.
And I'm Rebecca Denise with Link Real Estate. My number is 203-482-7297. And you can call that number for Link Real Estate as well as Superior Storage. Be kind, everybody.
See you next time.